everyone, how's it going? My name is Trent. If you've never been here before, I appreciate you coming to watch the video. If you have been here before, I appreciate you coming back. So with hunting season rapidly approaching and some guys out west already hunting, I thought it would be a good time. Actually, I'm probably a little late, but I thought it would be a good time for me to go over my entire bow hunting setup this year. Everything, arrows, broadheads, release, bow, quiver, sight, rest, stabilizers, literally the whole shebang, everything, broadheads, all of it. And the biggest reason I'm doing this is if you have any questions, you can ask me. You don't have to worry about asking later or forgetting. I can go in depth on things, you know, just kind of give an insight of why I choose what I do. That being said, this is probably going to be a pretty long video. So if you want to watch the whole thing, I would appreciate it. It means a lot to me, but I don't expect you to. So what I'm going to do in the description is I will put times and then what the subject is, like, so you can say, oh, arrows start at blah 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 mark, and you can just watch the arrow section if you want to, or you can just watch the bow section or the broadhead, or, you know, so you can pick and choose and kind of determine what you want to hear about based on that. So I'll start with arrows, and I think I'm going to start with arrows because I have built a lot this year just tinkering. So I'll start with these over here. These are Victory Rip Extreme Velocity arrows. They are a 300 spine. They weigh in at 7.0 grains per inch in the 300 spine, which is what led to me choosing them. So basically I chose this arrow for one reason and one only. I'm doing a high FOC setup this year. I've never done this in the past. I've always shot heavy arrows, but I've never done high FOC, and I really wanted to try it. So when I was doing that and doing research, I realized you would be best off getting the lightest grain per inch shaft you can find and then just front loading the crap out of it. And that's what I came up with here. Like I said, at 7 grains an inch. I don't know of any 300 spine arrows that get lower, except for maybe the FOC Kings by Bishop, but those arrows are so crazy expensive, there's no way I could bring myself to spend that on an arrow. So like I said, I went ahead and picked the Victory Rip Extreme Velocities, and I'm a Victory arrow fan anyways. I've liked them for a long time. The ice coating is fantastic. I don't know if it aids in penetration. I'm sure it probably does, but what it really aids in is pulling out of targets. It just, these arrows, when shooting with my buddies, seem to be so much easier to pull out of targets as compared to anything they're shooting. It just makes sense. This is a .204 diameter arrow, and I went with 204 over micro diameter for one reason specifically, and it's easier, and it's because it's easier to find accessories. So easier to find lighted nocks, it's easier to find aftermarket inserts and things of that nature. That alone caused me to go to a 204 instead of a 165, and actually for years, probably the last 3 years previous to this, I've shot 165s and just kind of dealt with it. This year I decided I want to try going a little bit bigger, and I really don't think I lost that much doing so. Now this arrow, I've got two configurations built that I'm hunting with this year. I've got one configuration that's got 225 grains of Ethics inserts, and then I've got one that's got 120 grains. The 120 grain insert is to accommodate a 200 grain broadhead. The 225 is to accommodate a 100 grain broadhead. So I'm running 320 to 325 grains up front. Then for the fletchings, I've got 3-inch parabolic pink feathers. I like feathers. I don't have any issues with them getting wet and changing point of impact. I've got a pool in the backyard. I've dunked the feathers in there and swirled them around and held them in there for, you know, 2-3 minutes till they're soaked sopping wet, and shot them out to 40 yards, no change of impact. So for me, feathers are a good option. They fly well, they're very light, so again, an FOC thing. Lightweight keeps my FOC higher. For a lighted knock, I'm shooting a Fire Knock lighted knock system. A couple things brought me to that. One is I did a broadhead test, or I did a Fire Knock. Goodness gracious, I'm struggling today. I did a lighted knock test where I compared 8 brands. Fire Knock landed in 3rd place, so you may be curious why I'm using them. Well, to be honest with you, they're expensive, and I spent the money on them, so I figured I was going to use them. I believe a 3-pack will run you right around the $80 range after shipping for like 3 usable lighted knocks. So they are definitely the most expensive, or if not the most expensive, up there. I think the Bluetooth tracker knocks are more expensive, but they're expensive lighted knocks, and I was like, I paid for them, I'm going to use them. When I started using them, I kind of realized the beauty of them. For example, you can get a matched weight system where I can take all the electronics out of this knock and put the matched weight system on. So if I Robin Hood an arrow, I'm out the knock and the matched weight system and the arrow instead of the matched weight, or instead of the knock, the electronics, and the battery. So I'm saving myself some money doing that. I like the fact that I don't have to use up my batteries in practice. I've got that matched weight system. As far as adjustability is not necessarily the right word. Customability is the right word. They have the most customability of any lighted knock system on the market, bar none. Colors, there's a huge selection of colors: red, green, clear, blue, I believe orange. I don't know, like, I don't even know all the options, but they have all those colors for knocks, and then they have a smoke colored knock. They've got 3 different styles of batteries. You can get a hunting circuit, which stays solid. You can get a target circuit, which shoots, flashes a few times and shuts off. You can get a practice circuit. Like, they just have so many options. You can customize it to get exactly what you want, and that's what really drove me to continue to expound on my fire knock collection and grow it into what it is now. My other arrow setup, because I want to keep broadheads and arrows separate, because I'm a big broadhead guy. I think it's a whole different category. So my second arrow setup is also Victory. These are the RIP TKOs. Now these come in at 9 grains per inch in a 250 spine, which is what these are, is a 250 spine. These are also cut 28 inches carbon to carbon, I believe. I kept them factory fletched with the blazers. They fly fine, and honestly, I really don't want to refletch them. As far as the insert goes, the insert system on this is iron will inserts. So they use a hit system, and I'm a fan. I know a lot of people hate the hit system. I really like the hit system because it keeps your broadhead concentric to the arrow, so it's pretty much always square. It's hard to mess that up as long as the front of your shaft is squared. So it's got a 100 grain hit insert that's stainless steel. Then it has a 25 grain collar, so 125 up front. I originally built these to shoot 200 grain heads, and I found that they don't shoot the 200 grain heads the best. They're actually a little overspined. If I use a lighted knock, they're way overspined, or too overspined for my taste. If I use a standard knock, you can get away with it. It's a little caveat there. If you add weight to the back, it increases the stiffness of your spine. Anyways, so like I said, I built these to shoot 200 grain heads. It's not heavy enough. I think I can get away with shooting heavier, like, so I ordered some, or I bought secondhand some 265 grain tough heads. I'm really hoping those tune out, because that would be awesome. I would love to be able to throw some 265 grain tough heads up front and play with those this season. So yeah, that's my 2 arrow setups this year. After arrows, it just makes logical sense to go into broadheads. So I'm going to cut the cameras, I'll get back with you, and we'll reset up and do broadheads. Alrighty, so like I said, it just makes logical sense to go to broadheads after arrows. I'm a broadhead nut. I have a lot of different broadheads. At one point I had a collection with well over 200 different heads. Most of them were modern heads. Just never got into collecting the older stuff. They always kind of intrigued me, different designs, how they work, things of that nature. So what I'm going to do, instead of going over all the broadheads I have, because neither one of us have that much time, I'm going to just highlight the main ones I plan on using this year and trying to kill stuff with. So we'll start right here. This is a 190 grain Simmons Tree Shark. This is a crazy fixed blade broadhead. It's got a 2 1/16 inch cut. It's a fixed blade with a 2 1/16 inch cut. Really awesome broadhead. They fly great out of my setup. I'm really excited about that too, because I've had my eye on these heads for a long time. I've known about these heads for a long time, but I never shot anything this heavy. Now I am shooting this heavy up front. I'm excited to actually use this. It's going to be really cool to get a mechanical cut size out of a fixed blade head. In my opinion, it should. I mean, it penetrates better than a mechanical with a 2-inch cut, right? Because no energy to open it or anything like that. Plus, it's got a pretty good blade angle. Overall, super cool head. I will drop links to where you can get all of these stuff in the description. Some of them are going to be affiliate links, some of them won't be. It doesn't matter to me. Just that way, if anything interests you, you can check it out further. Anyways, like I said, this is a cool head. They're kind of difficult to sharpen because of the concave blade design. Also, a caveat about that concave blade design: they tend to have a little bit larger cut than what's advertised, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I just, in the wound channels I've seen, or the wound pictures and wound channels I've seen, they tend to have a little bit larger than what the actual advertised cutting diameter. So again, don't know why, just something I've seen over and over again. But anyways, I'm excited about these heads specifically. First of all, honestly, they just look really cool, but the big cutting diameter and everything like that, and again, they fly great out of my setup. After that, we've got 200 grain Grizzlies. Now these are what I would consider a standard 2-blade single bevel. You know, there's not anything crazy special about them. It's just, it's a 2-blade single bevel. I get these from 3 Rivers Archery. I like single bevel heads. I think the rotation is never a bad thing. And with it being a high FOC setup I'm trying this year, and really what I'm doing that for is to try to focus on penetration, it just made sense to have a blade or a broadhead in this category. Just a simple high mechanical advantage, long, not very wide, 2-blade. Goodness gracious, I just blanked. Sorry, 2-blade single bevel. That's what I was thinking of. So yeah, that's why I picked the Grizzlies. They're not terribly expensive. 3 packs are 40 bucks, so right on par with most everything else. After that, we're gonna look at the Grim Reaper Whitetail Special. And yeah, I know it's kind of weird going polar opposite of what I was just talking about with a lot of penetration. This is a 2-inch 3-cut expandable broadhead. Awesome broadhead, something I've used in the past. It's a tried and true mechanical for me, and that's probably why it's gonna end up in my quiver. I know they'll do work if I put them where they need to go. I've had a lot of short track jobs with these. I know a lot of guys have a lot of luck with them, and the whole Grim Reaper line. So again, it just, for me, this is almost a confidence broadhead, and that's one of the reasons it's in there. After that, we've got a Valkyrie Blood Eagle. This is the 200 grain vented Blood Eagle. Now these are the screw-in version of this broadhead, not the center pin design. I think the center pin design is a great idea, but I swap broadheads far too much to go with a design that limits me to just one broadhead. So I did the screw-in Blood Eagles. I actually heard about these from Brian Call. He's a YouTuber, podcaster, Western hunter guy, and he uses these. And I'd known about them for a while, but they never really interested me. And I heard him talk more about them, and hearing him talk more about them kind of at least led me in the direction of trying them. So I ordered some, and $75 for a 3-pack, I think. It's a higher quality steel and things of that nature. So I'm excited to give these a shot. Generally speaking, I'm not a 3-blade head guy. I just prefer a 2 or a 4-blade head, but these are, they intrigue me. And that's honestly what a lot of my choice in broadheads boils down to. It intrigues me. Why is it the price it is? Why does it do it? You know, is it worth it? What does it do? Certain things specially, things of that nature. So after that, we've got the Kudu Contour Plus. Now the Kudu Contour Plus is a cool broadhead in that it's got the concave blades similar to the Simmons, but it's a single bevel, so it rotates also. And like I said, those concave blades tend to give a little wider cut. I don't remember the cut on this off the top of my head, maybe 1 1/8 inches. These are, like I said, 125 grain version, but they also have a 75 grain adapter to make them a 200 grain broadhead. And you can buy the 75 grain adapters from Kudu just off of their website. I really recommend it if maybe you want to try high FOC and you've been shooting 125 or 100 grain. It can basically turn the broadheads you know and love and trust into a heavier broadhead like that, and you don't sacrifice any structural integrity really. So anyways, back to the Contour Plus. The Contour Plus is the same as their original Contour. The difference is it's got bleeder blades, and I'm always a fan of 4-blade cut over a 2-blade cut when I can get it. The big thing with these bleeder blades is they are single bevel bleeder blades. I don't believe I believe double bevel bleeder blades, say that 10 times fast, on a single bevel broadhead, add that in there, hinders rotation of the broadhead. But I believe that the single bevel bleeders on a single bevel broadhead, that's tough, adds in rotation, and it basically boils down to friction. Friction against the blade surfaces, or the bevel surface, is what causes the rotation. When you add a single bevel, or add more single bevel surface area, there's a lot of tongue twisters in this. You're gonna have greater rotation. Anyways, my buddy David, Hiking with a Viking, you guys have heard about him a lot, recommended these to me, said these guys are great people, they're local to him. I wanted to give them a shot. I trust David's recommendations, and that's why they are going in the quiver this year. Alrighty, this is the 100 grain Iron Will. I honestly think these may be in the top 3 best broadheads ever made. They are expensive, $100 a 3-pack. I don't know the cutting diameter off the top of my head. It's a 4-blade head. Again, I don't know the cutting diameter, sorry. They're made of A2 steel, which is a really high quality steel. They're so sharp, man, and they hold a blade, like they hold a bevel an edge. They hold an edge so well. I literally shot this probably 100 times into my target the other day, and it still like shaves, hair, cuts paper no problems, which is a huge deal. And they're not terribly hard to sharpen too. I've sharpened them with the Innovative Outdoorsman Stay Sharp guide 2 or 3 times, just playing around trying to get used to the Stay Sharp guide, and they sharpen up super easy. So overall, I think they're probably in the top 3 best broadheads ever. Like I said, they are expensive, but you get what you pay for. They do come with a lifetime warranty that basically replaces them for everything but lost, but you losing them. So it's just a top of the line broadhead. I plan on ordering a 3-pack of the 200 grainers before season, hopefully. Even if I get them midway through season, they shoot phenomenally, so I have no qualms about just screwing them on and going. Alrighty, so there's 6 there. I've got just a couple more here in my broadhead box I'll grab for you, and then after that we can move on. So this is a secondary broadhead system. I call it a lethality adding system. It's called the Crossbreed, and essentially I covered these in a review. It's a very cool system. They're 100 grains and it's a 2-inch cut, and then you can screw any broadhead you want on the front of it. So you can add 2 inches of cut to your favorite 100 grain broadhead, for example, and increase your FOC. Just so happens I have a arrow tuned to shoot 200 grains, so these will be in my quiver this year. I'll probably top them with a Slick Trick Standard or a Slick Trick Magnum. It just kind of depends. But I'm looking forward to killing something with these this year, because in the testing I did, they penetrated shockingly well. And I'll put a card up in here and you can click to see that testing as well. So yeah, that's going in my quiver for sure. Then I've got 125 grain Slick Trick Standard. I got off a buddy that I'm going to put those 75 grain adapters to get a 200 grain head. I've got some old Slick Trick Razor Tricks, 125 grain. They don't make these anymore. These went away in favor of the Viper Trick, but again, going to put them on the 75 grain adapter to make a 200 grain head. And Slick Trick is another broadhead for me that's a tried and true, comfortable. Like, I know it works. I've killed a lot of deer with them. So that's part of the reason they're going in the quiver. The Razor Trick is because I always wanted to try one and had never gotten around to it. It's the biggest thing there. And the last broadhead I'm going to give a try this year for sure is the Rage No Color Extreme Chisel Tip. Not really a Rage guy, but these did pretty well in my testing, and I like to give everything a fair shake. So I'm going to give them a try. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to try to shoot something with them, and we'll see what happens. You know, 99.99999% of the time, it's not a broadhead failure. It's a hunter failure. So I figure if I put anything I have, anything in this list in the right spot, it should kill whatever I'm shooting at, right? Like, no questions asked. So that finishes it up for the broadhead segment. I'm going to go ahead and roll into quivers next, just because it makes logical sense to me. Cut the cameras and I'll see you guys in just a second. So for quivers, I'm using 2 different quivers this year. Technically 3 different quivers, but 2 are from the same company. They're just different styles, and then 1 from a separate company. So first I'm going to be using the Buck Rub Gear. This is a company out of Wisconsin. It's the Carbon Energy. It's a cool company. At the ATA show this year, I was in a booth next to them, and I got to meet them all, talk to them. Very nice people, very awesome people. This is a 5-arrow quiver. The biggest thing I like about this, I like 2 things about this. It mounts up high, so it mounts here, and then all the quiver sticks up here, your arrows stick down here. And the other thing I like about this a lot is it's got a hook for hanging, so I don't have to worry about having a separate system or finding a limb. Or it's just easy to hang out of the tree. And on public land where I can't trim trees or anything like that, it's easy to find a branch to just hook this sucker on and it's good to go. Another cool feature here is that it has a little holder, we'll call it a holder, for your wind checkers. I've been able to take a plastic bag and fill it with milkweed and pull it out the bottom here, and then I can just pluck the milkweed and throw it. So that's a pretty cool feature. I don't get too heavy into quivers because quivers are something I don't believe you need to spend a ton of money on, honestly. To me, it's not a necessity for like the tree stand hunter who's probably just going to take it off. When you get out west and stuff like that, I think quiver choice makes a bigger difference, but not when you're like a Midwestern or Eastern bow hunter. Another cool thing about this quiver is it mounts super close to the bow. So about as close as you can get, with the exception of like a tight spot. Those are about as close as you can possibly get. I'm using the Carbon Energy, but I'm also going to use quivers from Arrowlock. This is a 3-arrow model. They also make a 5-arrow model. The retention system, I did a video review on these quivers, and I can There's a card right there if you want to watch it. The retention system on these is unbelievable. I love the retention system on these. It holds the arrow from the top and the bottom. There's no fingers or claws or grippers or anything in here that holds the arrow, so to get an arrow in and out is very, very, very quiet. It also protects the dirt side or the knock side of your arrow so that you're not getting dirt in there if you drop your bow. I have had situations where I let my bow down to go get lunch per se, fill my nocks full of dirt, pick my bow up, getting ready to walk out, and there's a doe that walks by me at 40 yards or 30 yards or whatever, and I'm not able to pull an arrow out quietly, and I'm not able to put the arrow on the string because the nocks are full of dirt. Not a problem anymore. Downsides to these, there's two main ones. One, they're kind of heavy. I think this one weighs in at just under a pound, and I think this one's 12 ounces. So they are kind of heavy. The other downside is you have to use all the same broadheads or the same length broadheads and arrows on all of these quivers because they adjust up and down to hold your arrows. So I can't run 4 different styles of broadheads unless they're all the same length in one of these quivers. And that's part of the reason why the Carbon Energy is going to still be in my arsenal. If I'm feeling froggy one day and want to take in different brands of broadheads, I'll just throw on the Carbon Energy. It's 2 Allen bolts. I literally always have my Allen wrenches with me during season. It's 2 Allen bolts. It doesn't change anything because I don't shoot with my quiver on, and I can take different broadheads. With these, I have to take all the same. So for example, I've got 3 tough heads coming for my Rip TKO arrows. This will probably be my Rip TKO quiver. I'll just set it up to house those arrows and hold those arrows, and that's what's always going to be in here. For this, it'll be something I have 6 of, or I think I've got 6 of the Simmons and I've got 6 of the Grizzlies, so it'll be 6 of those in this. Or that's basically the way I'm going to run these, is they're going to be specific to specific arrow combinations, whereas the Carbon Energy is going to be for when I'm feeling froggy and want to take anything in there. So that's it for quivers. We'll do release next. I'm going to kind of save the bow for last. I just think it's going to make the most sense. So we'll do my release next. Alrighty, so for release, I decided to go with a thumb button release this year. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, or it was when I started the year. I'd always used a wrist strap. Matter of fact, my go-to had pretty much been the Spot Hog Wise Guy for a very long time. I switched away from it to the Hot Shot Haze, and it was an okay release. I liked it. The thumb button system on it I didn't feel was the greatest, and I don't know, it just never set in. I ended up selling that to a buddy of mine who absolutely adores that release, and I went back to a Spot Hog Wise Guy for a while, and then I found at the ATA show, good friend Robin, who is affiliated with Hot Shot, showed me the hookup. And first of all, it's purple, already a win in my book. Purple's my favorite color. But this release is just so comfortable, and just playing with it at the ATA show, I was obsessed. When I got back from ATA, I ordered a 3-finger version. I've been shooting it ever since, and I absolutely adore this release. So, honestly, with releases, it's all about what feels good and what you're confident with. For the longest time, like I said, I shot the Spot Hog Wise Guy. I was super comfortable and confident with that release. It just felt good. I could adjust the trigger and stuff like that. It just always fit. After I got this became what I'm comfortable and confident with. It just fits so well. I feel comfortable with it. I anchor consistently. It also has adjustable trigger for thumb pressure sensitivity. I don't know. I'm not a release expert. I don't get into the particulars. I just know it feels good and I'm super comfortable with it. I love this release a lot. Matter of fact, I need to order another one before season so I have a backup I can set up exactly the same. Alrighty guys, now the fun stuff. We're going to get into the bow and the nitty gritty of all of the bow stuff. So cut the cameras and I'll be back in just a second. Alrighty, here it is y'all, the bow. This is a 2020 Xpedition DLX, 28 inches at 70 pounds. I love this bow. Now let me put a caveat in there. People that are closest to me know that I went through a time where I hated this bow. I couldn't get it to tune. Everything I did, no matter what I did, I was getting a 1/2 inch to 1 inch right tear. I couldn't figure it out. I put twists in the yokes, I shimmed cams, I mean, I did literally everything in the world and could not get this bow to tune to save my life. In hindsight, it was 100% on me, and realistically, that's what it is. Almost always, in almost every situation, it's not an equipment malfunction, it's a person malfunction. I think it was a combination of I didn't have my arrows properly built, they were overspined, and I wasn't gripping the bow properly. My grip was weird. After I got those things settled out, this thing shoots money. I mean, absolute lights out. It flings them. I love it. It shoots fantastic. I did a review on this bow after I got it from ATA. This was previous to me having any tuning issues. If you want to check that out, there's a card right there. So on this bow, for a bow sight this year, I'm running the Easy V7. If you're not familiar with the Easy V, you probably should be. I think it's a phenomenal sight. Basically, it's a range finding sight that doesn't require any electronics. It uses math to give you all the information you need to range your animal. And it's all based off this beautiful little insert right here. It's got the new Sapphire Series inserts. This is a 270 feet per second insert. I've also got an insert for my Rip TKO arrows. It's a different insert, and another beauty of the 7 is I can literally pop, so the 20-yard mark is the same on all of these. I can pop this out, put my other insert in, and shoot my Rip TKOs, and it should be on the money, if not super, super close. The worst it would need is a little bit of a gang adjustment down. Something it's simple to do, takes no time, and what allows me to switch back and forth between arrow setups pretty much as frequently as I want to. Built like a tank, lightweight. I don't even remember, 6.8 ounces or something like that. Like, this sight for me has been the end all be all for the last 3 years. Now don't get me wrong, this is not a sight for everyone, and this is not an Easy V commercial. It's just a case of I really, 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 really like this sight. People have been killing things with it all over the planet. Like, it's just a tried, true, proven, indestructible tank of a sight, something I trust. Rest is going to be a QAD MXT. Basically, it's an HDX that they changed the containment arm on and put micro adjust on. I really dig the micro adjust. It's super finite, so I can get it dialed into exactly where I need it. And then it's got all the reliability of a QAD. I've been using an HDX for probably the last 10 years. Like, phenomenal rest in the HDX, and I'm not disappointed at all in this MXT. Stabilizer setups is a Fire Knock stabilizer with bee stinger weights, and then I've got a quick disconnect on the front that I ordered on Amazon, and a offset bar mount, whatever it's called, with quick disconnect from Amazon as well. The quick disconnects, the reason I got them from Amazon, and I'm almost positive they're from China. I try to avoid buying from China as much as possible, but when I can get a quick disconnect for 60 bucks from a US company who probably hasn't made in China, or I can get it for 15 bucks or 20 bucks or whatever I paid for it on Amazon, I'm gonna opt to save the money every time. Same with the back bar adjustable thing. I think 25, 30 bucks on Amazon, and they're like $90 to $100 from most US companies. Just makes more sense for me to buy it off Amazon for my pocketbook. I mean, especially when they're both probably made in similar factories in the same country. Speculation there, by the way. I'm not calling out any specific brands. It's just my mentality on it. Fire Knock bars. They are titanium bars, and what led me to do Fire Knock is they're small diameter, so they shouldn't catch as much wind. Same concept as shooting a small diameter arrow, less wind drift. Well, those stabilizers act as sails when you have them on your bow, whether you like it or not. So I figure a smaller diameter stabilizer ought to help with that. I don't look at a stabilizer as a dampening system anymore. I used to. It used to be what I relocated to most of the shock absorption. That's not really what I use it for anymore. It's more for balancing your bow. I've got 2 ounces on the front bar, and it's a 9-inch front bar with the quick disconnects, probably an inch, so 10 inches out front, and then it's a 5-inch back bar, and I've got 5 ounces on the back of it, and then with the quick disconnect probably makes it about a 6-inch. And again, you know, this is just a setup that works for me. Your setup's not wrong, my setup's not right. It's just what works for me. One thing I'm interested in this year, I'm trying out the nose button, Bowmar nose button, and it's been all over social media here lately. Backed by Levi Morgan, made by Bowmar. I'm really thoroughly impressed with it. I like having the anchor point there on the nose as compared to like a kisser button. I generally didn't use anything for my nose or my corner of my mouth, but I really like the addition of that nose button. I'll probably continue to use that in the future. So guys, that is everything for my archery hunting setup this year. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them on any of the subjects. Why I did something, why I didn't. If you think I'm an idiot for doing something, tell me. I love discussion. That's what I'm trying to create here. I want a community where we can openly discuss without people getting their feelings hurt and things like that. Just openly discuss what we do and why we do it. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you want to tell me about your setup, I'd love to hear about your setup. Drop it in the comments. You want to just talk shop. Literally, I love talking with you guys, so anything you want to say. Again, there's going to be links for everything you see here in the description, whether it's an affiliate link or not. You know, doesn't really matter to me. If you want to click on them, check it out, awesome. If you don't, awesome. I think that's it, guys. I'm done running my mouth. I appreciate you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.